All right. Well, let's go ahead and kick this off. Thanks so much for popping in here. And for those who are watching this recording later, stay tuned because there is going to be a handout of leads that if after watching this, you would like a certain selection of leads, meaning potential sellers, reach out to Kirsten and she can send them to you. But you have to watch the recording for the information at the end to get those. For those on this right now, you're here, you get it. Okay, so let's dive in. So again, each day this week, Kirsten and I are doing a specialized little 30-minute session all about different topics. She's doing more hands-on, more structure-based, the CMAs, presentations, etc. I'm doing more conversational based. So yesterday, if you didn't watch the recording, yesterday I did one on opening the conversation, how to start the conversation from hello to get your foot in the door, specifically with sellers. So if you have not watched that recording, please, please, please watch it. Unless you don't want to get your foot in the door and then don't watch it. I'm at home. I'm in a sweatshirt. I'm sort of a little sarcastic right now. Bear with me. Okay. Today, for the next 20-ish, 25-ish minutes, we are going to talk all about expired listings. By the way, if you're in a place you can put your camera on, please do so. If you're driving, be safe. You don't need your camera on. Also, if you're driving, don't take notes. Please watch this recording. Kirsten will be sending it out along with a few extra dialogue starters and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I love the emoji, Tiffany. That's awesome. If you're not driving, please take notes because that will help you. Okay. So first, let's define an expired. Okay. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to define the expired. What does it mean? Right? I'm going to talk a little bit about the mindset of an expired, meaning the mindset of the homeowners who are whose listing went expired. And then we're going to go into, and I'm going to share my screen. I'm also going to share it in the chat box, and you'll also get an email of it. So you'll get it like in multiple ways. Then I'm going to go into how do you start a conversation with different types of expireds, older ones, newer ones, etc. Cool. And then I'm going to resort you back to yesterday's recording because getting your foot in the door is the objective. And yesterday's conversation was all about that. And obviously through this, any questions you have, come off of mute, chat box. If I'm saying something, you're like, I don't even know what she's talking about. Stop me. Okay, this is your 30 minutes. I'm just here to host it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about expired. So when you put a listing into Bright MLS, you have to put an end date for your contract that they signed. So for example, if I'm taking a listing today, I'm probably going to put an end date of like December 31st, right? Or I might put an end date of like November 31st. You're putting it out really far. It doesn't mean it takes that long to sell. Most agents will put like 6 months or a year on their listings. Just kind of what we're seeing out there. So what happens is, so actually I'm going to give you a real life example that's happening right now. There's a listing that's live in my neighborhood. No, it's not one of our agents. They chose someone else. Okay, moving past that. So this agent, and anytime there's a listing that goes live in my personal neighborhood, I always am the nosy neighbor and real estate agent, and we'll look it up, see what the price is. I can't call it. It's already listed. I can't talk to the owners because that I will get in trouble from the commission. But I do like to look up what's the price for my neighborhood. So I happen to notice that this home is overpriced. I know my neighborhood very well. The home is way overpriced. So this agent has had a sign in the yard. It's been active now for, oh my goodness, I think 4 months. It's probably been 4 months. Where homes in my neighborhood usually go in like a week. Most likely, depending on his cancellation date, that house is going to go expired, meaning if it doesn't sell by the date he has in Bright MLS, the system will automatically switch the status to expired. Once it goes expired, it's fair game. That means that that owner is not signed with, unless they re-sign, that owner is no longer a client of an agent, unless they re-sign, but you won't know that until you talk to them. Okay. Also, I do need to say this for our protection sake, compliance sake, when you're calling expireds, you do need to absolutely follow the TCPA do not call list rules and regulations. If we send you a list of expireds or you look up something and the phone number is on that do not call list, do not call it. You're allowed to email it. You can door knock. I can go up right when this goes expired. I can walk up to the house and knock on them. Do not call them. You will get in trouble. You will get fines from that whole TCPA Act, not from us. That's a nationwide thing. Okay, let's move on. So when it goes expired, it's fair game, meaning it is all you. Now, here's the mindset of the seller. The mindset of the seller right now, think about this. Like, put yourself in the shoes of a homeowner. So let's say you all own this house, right? And you've lived there for, let's say, 5, 10 years, and you are tired of the winter and you're tired of the snow, and you were really hoping that it would have been sold by January of this year for you to be living in Florida. Okay. Puerto Rico. Let's actually go to where this ocean is behind me. Puerto Rico. You all want to move to Puerto Rico. All right. So you as a homeowner were hoping to be somewhere already. Now, all of a sudden, that never happened. Now, it's typically because of price, but there's other factors involved. Okay. So new expireds, meaning if you call an expired that just went expired today, they're frustrated. They're angry. Wouldn't you be? I would be angry, right? So sometimes they just need to let it out. Sometimes they just have to vent, right? So sometimes you have to just kind of be that air, let them lay it down on the pretend couch while you're talking to them on the phone, and let them just get it all out there. Don't agree with them. Don't woe is me. Don't cut them off. Literally just sit there and let them just go off. They're not going off on you. You're just happen to be the person on the phone, and they haven't been able to release that frustration yet. Okay, so it's almost like you're their therapist for a minute. For older expireds, meaning expired that went expired 3 months ago, 4 months, 6 months, a year. By the way, those are gold. Okay, 6 months back, this was my bread and butter back in the day. I was calling expireds 4 days a week for usually 2 to 4 hours every day, 4 days a week. Because they already raised one hand and said, I want to sell a house for a reason. They already raised a second hand saying, not only do I want to sell a house, I'm willing to pay a real estate agent. So they're actually really low hanging fruit. They're the lowest hanging fruit you can ever go after. The reason why most agents don't go after them, or they attempt them for like a week and then they're like, oh, these don't work, is because number one, they're not always instant gratification. Sometimes you have to get that relationship going a little bit before they say yes to you for the appointment. And sometimes you have to hear them vent. So if you don't like some people just going off a little bit, it's not on you, but like, oh my God, the situation, blah, blah, blah. We have to kind of build up some thick skin there. Again, it has nothing to do with us whatsoever. Right. So older ones, again, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months back, they still have that frustration because they were hoping to be somewhere. And they decided to just hang out for a little bit until what they think is the timing is right. We'll talk about that in a minute when we get to the script, or sorry, dialogue starter. So they're not as frustrated, but they might let out a few like, oh, where were you when it was on the market, or why didn't it sell, right? They might ask you certain questions, which we'll talk about that in a minute too. But at the end of the day, here's the thing. This is our goal. Our goal with expireds is one, get them talking and get them talking. We need to get them back to the motivation. We need to get a smile on their face. Your goal on the phone is to make them smile. That's your goal, right? Second goal on the phone, move them forward to either an amazing follow-up or get your foot in the door to introduce yourself for an appointment. Those are the goals. You're not selling them on the phone. They're not signing with you on the phone. They're not choosing you yet. They haven't met you. Why would they? Right? So the goals are very simple. Why do they want to sell in the first place? Where were they hoping to be and where would they like to be? And what's that going to do for them? Right? Why do they want to be sitting on the beach in Puerto Rico? I don't know. I mean, I do. It's amazing, but I don't know. And not, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what that other agent did. Do not talk about the other agent. Well, no, it might be their mom. Okay. Don't talk about their other agent. Never say anything negative and don't go down the path of negative. If you bring them to the negative, they're going to stay in that world and you can't bring them to the positive, which is the future, right? We're trying to move them to the future, which is where they want to go. 99, let me change that. 97% of expireds will sell their house with an agent because they want to move somewhere. And expired does not just mindset wise, and expired doesn't all of a sudden wake up, right? Think about this. If you have a house, you're hoping to sell it to get to Puerto Rico, to lay on the beach and retire. And it didn't happen because the house didn't sell yet. You don't all of a sudden say, well, I guess I'll just stay in Maryland with the snow and shovel and never mind. My dream is just squashed forever. That doesn't happen. You don't all of a sudden just change your mind. The reason why I say 97% is sometimes there's that 3% where life kind of jumps in there. So I'm going to share an example. I was talking to an expired way back in the days, like, I don't know, 2017 maybe. And it went expired. It was like a 6 month, 6 months back expired. So when I talked to him, he did back in the day want to sell his house and move he was actually moving to a totally different state. He no longer was interested. He no longer wanted to sell, but it wasn't because he didn't want to sell to move. It was because he couldn't. He fell in what's called the 3%, not 97%, the 3%. And by the way, I'm like going high. 3 is a high number for this, where he had a life scenario, right? What a sad story for a second. What ended up happening was his mom ended up getting cancer, had to go into home care, couldn't live where she lived, had to move in with him. He no longer could sell his house because he had to stay at his job that he was about to leave and take care of his mom. Okay, that's a life event. We can't change it. We can't be like, well, don't you want to go to the beach? That's a life event. It just happens. But that's, again, like 3% of the time. 97% of the time, they are going to relist and they're going to sell their house and they're going to move to where they want to move to, right? Bigger house, smaller house, new state, whatever that looks like. Okay. Any questions on any of that or any questions on anything I didn't just say? What questions do you have before I move into how do you approach the conversation with an expired? What does it sound like? So any question, I'm going to open this up for some questions right now, if anybody has any.
No questions as of right now. I think you covered a lot.
Awesome. Okay. So let's move into how do we approach the conversation? So number one, you don't need to research expires. The only thing you're looking at is one, are they on the do not call list? Don't call them. If you can call them, just call. Because the more time you research, the people are not, if you dial, let's make up a number. If you dial 50 numbers right now, which by the way, it takes less than 2 hours to dial 50 numbers, okay? If you dial 50 phone numbers, probably about anywhere between 5 and 12% is going to answer. So if you spend so much time researching, the first 30 ones you research probably won't even answer anyways. So you're kind of spinning your wheels and wasting your time. So just dial, just call, right? Just call. So when you call, you're going to open the conversation, assuming the person wants to sell again, because 97% chance they do. And what that sounds like, actually, Kalei, are you in a place I can call you and have you pretend to be an expired?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you call, so I'm going to have her come off of mute and pretend to be an expired right now.
Okay.
All right. You can just make stuff up right now.
Right.
So here's the thing. I'm going to break this down. When I call her, you have your opening to get them talking, which that was yesterday's conversation. So if you're opening to get them talking, you feed off of what they say, right? Meaning you ask more questions based on their responses. So basically have a conversation with them. All right. And then you're taking the conversation into either um, a follow-up or appointment. Okay, ring.
Hello.
Hi. Now, by the way, you might not know the person's name and you might know their name. So, by the way, if you don't know their name, you can always be like, hi, is this the owner of 123 Main Street? This is Alana, local real estate agent. Who am I talking to? For the sake scenario, I know your name. So, hi, is this Kalia?
Hi, yes.
This is Alana. I'm a local real estate agent with Keller Williams. Thank you so much for taking my call. Now, here's the thing. We need to move really fast here. I'm going to use a saying that I say. Doesn't mean that you have to use this. This has just been something that I figured out I liked over the time of calling thousands of expireds. You'll kind of figure it out for yourself. So, Kalia, listen, I noticed your home was on the market back in the day. I don't know your date. I know Joe was back in the market back in the day, and I just want to find out, like, and by the way, I am sure I'm like the 48th person that's called you already today as a real estate agent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we tend to come out of the woodwork. So just curious, when it was on the market, where were you moving to?
I was moving to Baltimore County. I don't really
Okay.
like Harford County anymore. And I just want to be closer to my new job.
So Baltimore County, Hartford County, closer to your new job?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to pause there for just a minute. So with an expired, what you want to do is you want to take them to the past or the future. You don't want to live in the present. So notice how I said when it was on the market, where are you moving to? Right? Where were you moving to? Or you can say, hey, in the future, when you do decide to sell, what has you thinking about moving? Right? What you're doing with this is you're asking them a question to get them talking about something positive. Also notice, right, the saying that I said here with expireds was, again, this is just something I adopted, doesn't mean you have to do it. You be you, right? Find your own voice, which you can only do by practice, by the way. This, I think, took me 3 months to figure out I like saying this. And I said, yeah, I'm probably like the 48th person who's called you today, right? Here's the thing. The reason why I started incorporating that into my conversation with expireds was because typically, especially if they're newly, like the past month expires, you're probably going to call and they're going to say something like, oh my God, you keep calling me. I keep getting calls from agents all day long. I personally like to say it before they say it because now I can control the conversation. That's the
Right.
reason I use that whole, and I usually throw out some funny number, right? Because again, I need them to smile, right? I need to get them to chuckle a little bit. Yes, I totally did just say the word chuckle. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, if you don't say that and they say something like, oh my God, seriously, like you're like the 10th agent that's called me today. Fantastic. Hope to be your last. So when you were thinking about moving, haha, see, be real, be fun with them, have fun with these. They're people who need our help because they were hoping to be somewhere for a reason. Okay, so getting back to where we were. So, Khalil, you mentioned a closer commute.
Yes.
What's your commute like now?
It's about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic.
Okay, each way, meaning
Yeah.
like on the way there. So, like traffic wise, maybe 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
So, like 10 hours a week. Okay, what are you hoping it to be?
I'm hoping it to be 20, maybe 30 max.
Okay, and what would and getting that time, when that does occur, when you do make that move, and knows how I'm not pressuring, right? Just whenever. When you do make that move, like what will having that shorter commute do for you?
It'll definitely save me a lot of money on gas and everything, and just
Mhm.
be less wear and tear on my car, having to go so long, how so far every day.
Definitely understand that. So what else is important to you about making this move and the new home you're going into?
I also just want a different environment. I've been in Harford County for basically my whole life, and I just want something new, something different.
Okay. Now, Baltimore County is pretty big, so what do you have thoughts on locations at all?
Um, Not really. Just yeah, not really. Not as of right now.
Okay. So something in Baltimore County, new, you've been in Harford County for forever, kind of a new scene, right? And 20, 30 minutes around your work. Is that
Mhm.
correct? Oh, I think she froze. Okay, there she is. Do that. Okay. So for sake of time, let me shorten this up a little bit, right? I'll probably ask one or two more questions to find out, like, based on your current home, what do you want your new home to have? Like, do you want it to be bigger, smaller, more bedrooms?
Mhm.
What's more important? What's important to you about this next home besides just commute, the home itself? Right. So she might say something like, I want something a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to feed off of that word bigger. Oh, okay. Well, tell me a little bit about your current home and what does bigger look like? We don't know what bigger looks like. Bigger might mean, like, I asked somebody this question one day where they were like, yeah, I really need something smaller. Now, in my mind's thinking they want less bedrooms. No, I said, well, when you say smaller, like, tell me more about that. By the way, that's a great phrase. Just tell me more about that. Right.
Mhm.
They were like, oh, we want the same size house. Just, we don't want a yard like we do. We're raking and mowing and just too. So their smaller was outside. It had nothing to do about the house. I had no idea. You don't know, so don't guess. You have to ask the questions. If they say smaller, what does that look like? If they say bigger, what does that look like? If they say more bedrooms, how many and why? If they want a bigger kitchen, well, what's their current kitchen look like? And, have fun with that. Wow, bigger kitchen. Like, do you like to bake, cook, entertain? What's the bigger kitchen? Right? If they're like, oh, I love to bake. What's your favorite thing to bake? Right? What you're doing here is again, I'm going to use this phrase, but I'm using it very purposefully right now. You're having a organic conversation as opposed to a scripted reading off questions and thinking about your next question. They're actually paying attention to the person. They're going to feel that. They're going to feel you truly care by asking these. And if you feel, by the way, some people feel intrusive asking all these questions. I'm just a nosy body, so it just comes natural, but it's not very natural to most people. My husband says that about me all the time. So what you're able to say, if it's feeling uncomfortable for you as an agent, is you can say something like, hey, just out of curiosity, that's a great opening phrase. Hey, I was just curious. You can also say things like, you know, if you don't mind me asking, I'd love to know this. So when you are ready, I can help you. Right. So you can say phrases sharing why you're asking these questions. All right. So you're getting them talking. You're then going to summarize why they want to move. All you're doing is literally repeating their words back. Closer commute, save money on gas, different location, probably something about the house. I'm just going to make it up right now. And, less bedrooms and less square footage because she's tired of all this cleaning she has to do. She doesn't need all the space. Right. So you're summarizing their words, which, by the way, if you don't ask them questions, you're never going to have their words. You can't summarize. So, first part maybe takes about literally 2, 3 minutes, by the way, to ask them some questions, get information. Then you're going to summarize. Then you're going to close. Get them talking, summarize, close. That's it. And the close would be, so Kalia, let me ask you, if all of a sudden that she popped off, well, she'll watch this recording later. If all of a sudden a house came on the market tomorrow that was in Baltimore County, 20 minutes from your job or even less, saving you time, saving you that time and commute and gas money, um, with XYZ that you were talking about within the new home, is that still something you really want to move into? What you're doing there is you are trying to see their motivational level still, right? You're finding out where are they on the spectrum of 1 to 10, one being I no longer want to move, 10 being yes, yes, like get me out of where I'm going or get me out of where I am. I want to go there. So they'll probably be like, yeah, yeah, of course. Yes, of course. Great. Here's what I'd like to do next. Or you can say something like, the next step is, that's your transitional phrase, by the way. The next step is, right? You're like the GPS for the car. So the next step is for me to swing by 15, 20 minutes, introduce myself, provide you with an updated market analysis on your home. So market's changing all the time. So what's the price today? And then share how I market homes to get them sold, learn a little bit more about what you're looking to do in your next home, and go from there. So I'm gonna wrap that up and close it again because Khalid just joined again. So I'm gonna do it one more time. So again, we find out why they're moving, their motivation. Takes 2 or 3 minutes. We
Mhm.
summarize their words, and then the close is, so Clea, let me ask you, if I could show you a way to get you shorter commute, like 20 minutes or even less,
Mhm.
into a smaller home so you have less cleaning like you're doing right now, out of Harford County, because like you said, you've been there our whole life, you want a different scene, right? Into a place that you're excited about. Would that be something you want to hear more about? I say yes. Here's the thing. You just repeated back their words, and it's really hard for someone to say no to their own words.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then you say, great, the next step is, that's your transitional phrase, that's your closing sentence. The next step is for me to just swing by. I always like to say swing by because it's not so like for me to come out for an appointment. For me to just swing by like 15, 20 minutes into, now it's going to be more than 15, 20 minutes, okay? Just,
Mhm.
you're just saying that because you want your foot in the door. Get the foot in the
Right.
door. Swing by 15, 20 minutes, introduce myself, first of all. I'd love to interview for the opportunity to be your next agent for when you're ready.
Mhm.
That's also a great phrase. Interview for the opportunity. Share with you an update on what the market's saying for pricing these days, because it's changing all the time. So a new market analysis for your home. And to share a little bit about how I market to get homes sold. So do mornings or afternoons work better for you? Or you can go off of your schedule, right? If you know you have a busy day, you can be like,
Mhm.
so I'm looking at my calendar and I have tomorrow at 11 or I have a 5:30. Which one works better? You give
Mhm.
them two options. They pick one. By the way, find out who's all set. Like I forgot one really important aspect. Who is all selling with you? Is it just you or anyone else? If it's somebody else, make sure all parties are available for the appointment. If it's just her, fantastic. 5:30 tomorrow night. I'm going to send you a calendar invite. I'll send you an email with all my information. I really look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at 5:30. Is there anything specific you want me to make sure I have? And bam, appointment. Okay. The worst thing that happens when calling expireds is one, they hang up on you. Hanging up on you doesn't mean they don't want your help. It just simply means they're having a bad day today and they don't want to talk to a stranger right now. Right? An expired hang up on me and I call them back 2 days later, set the appointment. They don't remember who you are. They don't remember you. They hung up on you. Now, I will tell you, a friend of mine calls expireds, and when they get hung up on, they immediately call them back. Immediately. They're like, now I did this back in the day as well, just to have fun. You just kind of play with people. I'd be like, oh my God, Kalia, I'm so sorry. I think I lost self-service. I hate when that happens. Like, I know they hung up on me. They don't know I know that, like, so I'm just gonna call them right back and have fun. They probably won't answer. I'll leave a message, right? And then I'll call them a few days later. So with expireds, they need an agent's help and they need someone who is trained or has the people around them, the support system around them to provide them with the proper way to price the house, which is what obviously we would help you with, the proper way to show how to market it, and also the proper conversation to have with expectations around price in the market. Most likely it didn't sell. Now I'll say this to you. This is not something we're talking to them about because we don't badmouth other agents. But most likely it didn't sell because one, that other agent might not have known how to price it properly, or they didn't know how to have the pricing conversation with the seller and they let the seller price it. Don't ever do that. They let the seller price it, right? Um, or they just really wanted a sign in a yard and they didn't care. Which I do know some agents that do that, which it's their business. Everybody gets to run their business however they want. There's no real right or wrong, right? There's just training. That's all. Best practices. Okay. What did we take from this? What's something you got from this?
Um. a lot. How to talk to people and not make it seem like you said, scripted, more natural conversation, get them feeling comfortable. And I mean, that's the only way to do it, to be honest.
And that's it, right? Like that's it right there. Make them feel comfortable. I love that phrase, right?
Yeah.
So, Kirsten has a system. So there's a lot of systems out there. Expires you can pull from MLS, but they don't give you the phone numbers. She actually personally pays for a system that provides her with phone numbers, emails, all of that for expireds. For agents who are looking to do expireds as one of their lead sources, we can talk to you about different systems out there that provide information for you. In the meantime, she sent me over right before this an email of a few PDFs of expired leads. So if both of you, if you want to give them a go, call some expireds. Um, what I'm going to ask you to do is just let me know, and I will email this and also some other types of conversational starters along with it. Again, you have to kind of, here's the thing with expired, really with any call, but I'm going to say expired specifically. An agent calling expireds will not be successful their first month doing it. You might fall into one successfully, like maybe one, right? Like a good luck thing. Oh, thanks, Tiffany. I'll get that over to you. So you, if you really want to be successful at this, you gotta give it the time it needs to find your voice with them. When I first started calling them, literally for the first good 30 days, that was not how I sounded at all. I sounded not confident at all. I blabbed on about stuff. I tried to sell them on the phone. I talked about price. I said everything wrong you can possibly say. Here's the cool thing. They won't remember you. You get to call them back and have a better conversation. Um, but again, until you just do it over and over to find what works best for you, then that's where the real success comes in. Okay. You can't just call like 5 a month and be like, it doesn't work. I had an agent do that once. All right. If you would like these, Tiffany, I see you. I will email that. I'll email a few other things to you. And then any questions you have with them, reach out. I love talking expireds all day long. That was my absolute favorite. And once you master them, I would say it does take a good 30 to 60 days. Calling probably 3 times a week, at least an hour or two a day, 3 times a week to master them. Okay. Not every
Mm-hmm.
day. I'll say 2, 3 days a week. Not one, 2 to 3 days a week. Like 2 hours each of those days. Over 30 days, you will find your voice, you will master them, and these things feed you like crazy. Like literally, you can there's so many agents getting an appointment a week, 2 appointments a week, 3 appointments. I know an appointment a day,
That's a lot.
literally an appointment a day. So it's just time on task. That's all in practice.
Mm.
And if you're really serious about these, I am more than happy to hop on any call with you and just practice.
Mm.
I love talking to expireds. I have long drives to and from different places that I drive to every day. So, it's fun to practice while I drive. So feel free to reach
Mm-hmm.
out and be like, when's your next drive? Let's practice. All
Hmm.
right.
Yeah, I'd love to practice with the expired as well.
Okay. That sounds great. Well, I can send you over, like I said, I have multiple drives this week to like tomorrow I have to go to Bethesda, and then just my drive to the legacy office is 45 minutes to an hour every day. So
Oh wow.
20-minute commute sounds great.
Darn it.
Right. I might need an agent to buy a house. I don't know. All right. I'll send everything out to you. make it a great night. Reach out with anything you need.
All right,
Thank you so
perfect. Thank you so
much.
much.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.